A few months had passed since Myunjin's last trouble, but once again he found himself in the middle of a neighborhood incident. This time, a man stood furious in front of their house, his voice rising with every word as he waved his hands toward the bicycle beside him. "How could you teach your kid like this when you're a professor?" he spat, glaring at Myunjin's mother. Lily stood to the side, watching everything unfold, her stomach twisting with anxiety. Her mother, ever calm and composed, stepped forward. "Take a look at this before you say anything," the man barked, pointing to the bike now covered in rancid milk. "Your son poured this all over my kid's bike." Lily could see the tension in her mother's face, though her expression remained neutral. "I'll take full responsibility and compensate you for the damages," she said in a soft but controlled voice. It was the same line every time, a well-rehearsed script for every mess her son caused. "I apologize," the neighbors whispered to each other, disapproving glances cast toward the family. Lily felt their eyes burn into her, felt the shame rise in her throat. But her mother, unbothered by the whispers, continued to handle the situation. "It's my fault for doing a bad job raising him," she added, her voice cutting through the air like a sharp blade directed at Myungjin. Myungjin stood a few steps away, head hanging low, refusing to meet anyone's gaze. "Why did you do it?" his mother asked, her tone a mix of frustration and exhaustion. "He pranks me all the time," Myungjin muttered, his voice barely audible. "He took my stuff without asking, so I was just trying to get back at him." But his explanation only made things worse. Lily could see the humiliation and guilt eating at him. "I was embarrassed in front of the whole neighborhood," their mother added, her disappointment evident. "Apologize to Mom properly," Lily urged him, hoping to defuse the situation, but Myungjin only shrugged, his voice breaking as he whispered, "Mom hates me anyway." That line shattered something in Lily. She could feel her brother's pain so deeply. But what could she do? He didn't want her help, and their mother seemed to have given up on him long ago. After that, Myungjin stopped talking at home altogether. He avoided their mother, choosing to walk to school alone rather than ride with her. Lily noticed how he shrunk into himself, isolating more and more each day, and her heart ached for him. He wasn't a bad kid, just lost, confused, and desperate for their mother's approval. One cold winter morning, everything seemed unusually perfect. Their mother was in a rare good mood, smiling as she saw Lily off to school. "Be careful, sweetheart. The sidewalks are slippery," she called out with a cheerful wave. And for a brief moment, Lily allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, things would get better. At school, some of the kids invited Lily and Myungjin to play in the snow. "Come on, Sumyoung," one of them called out, using her Korean name. "We're going to play fight in the snow. Your brother wants to come too." Lily hesitated for a moment. She had tutoring after school, and her mom was waiting for her at the gate. But then she glanced at Myungjin, who looked more hopeful than she had seen him in weeks. He didn't want to go without her. "Okay," Lily said, smiling at him. "I'll go talk to Mom and get permission." She ran to the gate, where her mother was still waiting, and explained the situation. "One day should be fine. Go play," her mother said, giving her blessing. Lily felt a rush of relief. Maybe this would help Myungjin feel better, help him reconnect with the other kids. When she returned to her brother, he was standing alone, looking uncertain. "I got Mom's permission," she told him. "Where are the other kids?" "They said they'd wait for us at the park up ahead," Myungjin replied, a small smile playing on his lips for the first time in a while. Lily felt a flicker of hope light inside her. Maybe this was the start of things changing for the better. The group of kids, bubbling with excitement, were getting ready for their snowball fight. "It'll be a 5v5 once you two get there," one of the kids shouted, waving Lily and Myungjin over. "Hurry up, okay?" Lily glanced at Myungjin, noticing the apple juice in his hand. "What's with the apple juice? You gonna drink it all by yourself like a jerk?" she teased. Myungjin smirked and shrugged. "I already drank it all, so I can't give you any even if I wanted to." His lighthearted response surprised her, especially after everything they'd been through lately. It was rare to see him this relaxed, and Lily felt her own spirits lift. "Where'd you get the juice, anyway?" she asked curiously. "Mom gave it to me in the car just now," he replied, his voice softening. She wants us to make up? Lily's heart fluttered. That's what she had been hoping for. Maybe her mom wasn't so hard on Myungjin after all. Really? That's so good to hear, she exclaimed, feeling a wave of relief wash over her. For the first time in a long while, things seemed okay. Now go take your place. You're on the other team, you know. Myunjin's playful tone brought her back to the present. All right. Lily laughed. She didn't want to let this rare moment of peace slip away. We go when I count to 3. No cheating. 1, 2. They both waited in anticipation, the cold air nipping at their cheeks, but the joy in the air kept them warm. 3. They both shouted, charging into the game. The snowball fight went on, bursts of laughter filling the air as the kids ran and threw snow at one another. It felt like the carefree days of childhood, something Lily had been missing, a day without the weight of family tensions. After a while, the cold started to catch up to them. Wow, that was fun, Lily said, shaking the snow off her gloves. Yeah, Myungjin agreed, rubbing his hands together. But my hands are freezing. Playing is fun, right? We should do this more often, one of the other kids chimed in. Yeah, Lily replied, feeling a rare sense of contentment. Everything felt so normal, so right, as if the tension that had plagued their family had melted away with the snow. But then one of the kids poked her gently. Hey, Sum-young, the kid said, I haven't seen your brother in a while. Lily blinked, her heart skipping a beat. Huh? You're right. Where did he go? Her eyes scanned the park, but there was no sign of Myungjin. Panic crept into her chest. Myungjin? Myungjin Gil, she called, her voice louder, more urgent. The kids began to look around, worry spreading across their faces. The riverside, someone muttered. Without thinking, Lily bolted towards the river, her breath coming in sharp bursts as fear gripped her. Where are you, Myungjin? She spotted him near the water's edge, his small figure slumped unnaturally against the frozen ground. Myungjin! Lily screamed, her voice cracking with terror. Her feet slipped on the icy path as she raced toward him. Her heart pounded in her ears, drowning out everything else. What's wrong? Someone shouted behind her. Somebody help! Call 911! Anyone! Lily was frantic, her hands trembling as she reached Myungjin. He wasn't moving. His face was pale too still. Help me drag him out, she cried, her voice barely holding together. There were no adults around, just kids, scared and confused. I can't hear his breathing, someone whispered, and Lily's world spun. How long is the ambulance going to take? Another kid asked, their voice trembling. 5 minutes. But they're asking if anyone knows CPR. Lily's mind raced, flashing back to health class, where they had practiced CPR. But now, in the moment, her thoughts were jumbled. What was the order again? How many compressions? Wasn't it a different spot for kids? Her hands hovered over Myungjin, paralyzed by fear. Her vision blurred as dizziness overwhelmed her. Come to your senses, she screamed at herself in her mind. This is your brother, Sum-young. You have to do something. But all she could do was watch as the seconds ticked by, helpless. Mom, she whispered, choking on her sobs. Myungjin, he's not breathing. He's dead. The weight of those words shattered her completely. When the ambulance finally arrived, Lily was already crumpled on the ground beside her brother, her hands clutching his motionless body, her heart heavy with grief and guilt. Her mother arrived soon after, her face pale as she rushed toward them. My gosh, Sum-young, she whispered, kneeling beside her daughter. What do we do? Tears fell freely down her face. You must have been so scared, sweetie. But Lily didn't respond. She could only stare at Myungjin, her mind replaying the last moments they shared. The apple juice, the snowball fight, the laughter. Moments that felt like a lifetime ago. Lily stood alone in the quiet room, staring down at her phone. The notification of Myunjin's body transfer had arrived, official and cold, like an empty finality. Asterisk Myungjin Gil. Transferred to the family, asterisk the words felt distant, surreal. She could barely process it. How had things come to this? Her mother was nearby, weeping loudly, her sobs echoing through the space, but something about it felt wrong. Lily couldn't bring herself to look. Instead, Her mind was racing with questions she didn't dare voice aloud. She pressed her fingers to her temples, her thoughts circling one terrible realization she had tried to suppress. The memory of that awful day haunted her, clawing at her insides. When she had found Myung-jin by the river, his cold body unresponsive, she had done everything she could. She remembered pressing down on his chest, just like they taught in school. But something hadn't made sense. Why didn't any water come out of his mouth or nose? That's what should have happened, wasn't it? That's what everyone said happens when someone drowns. And then there was that other detail, the faint scent that lingered on his lips. Not the crisp, clean air of the riverbank, but the scent of apple juice. Lily could still smell it now if she tried. Apple juice. And something else, something strange yet familiar. Her heart tightened in her chest as the realization took shape. Her mind fought against it, but it was there, gnawing at her like a parasite. Asterisk why? Why had the juice been on Myunjin's breath? Asterisk she had seen him drink it, right there in the park, moments before everything went wrong. And now, that scent haunted her thoughts, mixing with the memory of her mother's sobbing face. But something about the way her mother had looked in that moment, the way her lips curved ever so slightly, as if she was smiling. Lily shuddered, unable to suppress the dark thoughts anymore. Her mind recoiled from the possibility. Could Mom have put something in Myunjin's juice? The very idea made her feel sick to her stomach. It seemed absurd, completely irrational. But at the same time, it felt terrifyingly possible. There was a gnawing instinct that wouldn't leave her alone. She glanced at Seong, her best friend, the only person she could confide in. He looked at her with concern, his brow furrowed, trying to process what she had just said. "So what you're saying is, your mom could have put something in Myunjin's juice?" he asked, his voice hesitant, as if he didn't want to believe it either. Lily felt a rush of shame. "I know it sounds crazy," she muttered, her voice barely a whisper. "I know it's absurd, but I just have such a bad feeling about it. I saw him drink that juice, and I know the accident was really sudden. But still, how could my mom?" She stopped herself, choking on her words. She didn't want to finish the thought. It felt wrong, like betraying the very person who had raised her. Seung looked conflicted, his eyes softening as he reached out to comfort her. "I'm the last person who wants to suspect something like this," Lily continued, her voice cracking. "But she's my mom, not yours. You don't know what it's like to live as her kid." The anger in her voice caught both of them off guard. Lily's face flushed with embarrassment. She didn't mean to snap at Seung. He didn't deserve that. "I'm sorry," she said quickly, lowering her gaze. "I shouldn't get mad at you like this." Seung shook his head, his voice gentle. "No, Lily. You're going through the hardest time out of anyone right now." He paused, considering his next words carefully. "You said you found the empty juice box, right? In Myunjin's pocket." Lily nodded, her throat tight. "Yeah, I found it in the ambulance. I brought it back home, secretly. I hid it in a lockbox, just in case." Seung's eyes widened. "Then couldn't you take it to the police? Maybe they could test it, see if there was anything, wrong with it." Lily swallowed hard. The idea had crossed her mind before, but it terrified her. "I know that would be the logical thing to do," she admitted, her voice trembling. "But I'm scared of what might happen if I take it there. What if it's all just my imagination? What if they investigate, and nothing comes up, even if he was really murdered?" Her hands shook as she spoke. The weight of the truth, or worse, the uncertainty, felt too much to bear. Seung placed a hand on her shoulder, his touch steady and reassuring. "Samyung," he said softly, calling her by her Korean name. "Calm down. We don't have to rush into anything. Just take it one step at a time." But Lily couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. If that's the case, how am I supposed to live with my OM after that? Your mom's been helping me for a long time. I really don't want to believe she could have done something like that. But I'm most worried for you, because she's your namely only be for you. If you keep having to be suspicious of her, that's why I'm willing to do anything for you if it means you'll feel better. Thanks. I'll think about going to the station, but for now, I'll just bring the Juice packed to school. Tomorrow. Talk. To you later. Lily's heart raced as she frantically searched her room, throwing aside books and clothes in a desperate frenzy. Her hands shook as she lifted the small box where she'd hidden the juice box, the only piece of evidence that might explain Myunjin's death. But the lock was already open, and the box was empty. It's gone. The words echoed in her head, making her stomach twist with dread. How could it have just disappeared? She had hidden it so carefully, locked it away, hoping it would be safe. But now, the one thing that could connect her suspicions to the truth was missing. The only proof she had gone. Where could it be? Lily's mind raced through the possibilities. Her eyes darted around the room, trying to spot any sign of what happened to it. But she knew, deep down, who had taken it. Just as panic began to settle in her chest, her mother's voice called from downstairs, disturbingly calm. "Young, come down and have breakfast." Lily froze, her breath catching in her throat. Asterisk breakfast? How can she think about breakfast right now? Asterisk, but the pieces of the puzzle were starting to come together in her mind, and she felt sick. It's obvious where it is, isn't it? Slowly, she turned toward her door, her legs trembling beneath her. The chaos she had caused in her frantic search was everywhere. Her room, normally neat, was now a complete mess. Her mother would notice. She always noticed. "Mom!" Lily shuddered, ball rising in her throat. She felt like she might throw up. She couldn't face her mother right now, not when the possibility of what she'd done was too terrifying to even consider. But the truth was creeping closer, like a shadow in the corner of her mind, refusing to be ignored. Lily swallowed hard, forcing herself to calm down as she moved toward the door. Her mother's voice echoed in her head again, soft but filled with a warning. Asterisk, you know I don't like it when you leave food on your plate, don't you? I perfectly plan every single meal for you. Asterisk, her stomach churned painfully, and her head spun. She plans everything, Lily thought bitterly. Every meal, every schedule, every breath. And now, maybe even Myunjin's death. Seung's words rang in her ears as she sat on the edge of her bed. But you kept it in a box with a lock on it. How the heck could it have disappeared? I don't know, Lily whispered, her voice barely audible. But it's gone. They had planned to go to the police today after school, but now there was nothing to take with them. Nothing but fear and suspicion. Seung had told her not to worry, that something would come of it if they just tried. But now, she wasn't sure of anything. Where's Mom? Lily's eyes darted toward the window, where the family car was missing. Her mother had mentioned something about going to the college, taking a leave of absence. But now, more than ever, Lily couldn't shake the feeling that her mother had done something terrible. She's probably taken the juice box with her, Lily thought, her pulse quickening again. Or maybe she had already thrown it away, erasing the evidence before anyone could ask questions. For Myungjin, the thought of her little brother's face, pale and lifeless, gave her the strength to push forward. She couldn't give up now, not without trying everything. But then she faltered. Her stomach twisted again, and she clutched it, wincing in discomfort. Why do I feel so sick? Her skirt felt too tight, adding to her discomfort, and she longed to change into something else, anything else. Just as she was about to head to her room, her phone buzzed. She glanced down and saw a message from her mother. Mom, asterisk. Your room was a mess, so I cleaned it up, Young. Oh. And you know how lost things always turn up when moms look for them? I left what you were looking for this morning on your desk. Lily's heart skipped a beat. She knows. Her legs felt weak as she stumbled toward her desk. The dread hung heavy in the air. Could it really be? Her fingers trembled as she reached for the object sitting there, waiting for her. The juice box. Lily felt her whole body trembling as she stood in the hallway, her mind a whirlwind of fear and confusion. Seung was beside her, his voice soft but urgent as he asked again, "What's wrong? Where'd you find the juice box?" She couldn't answer. The only thing she knew for sure was that she needed to get out of the house, away from the suffocating presence of her mother. "Please, let's leave," she whispered, her voice cracking. "I can't stand being here." The fear in her words was unmistakable. The walls of the house seemed to close in around her, The memories of Myeonjin's death mingling with the growing suspicion that her mother was involved in something far more sinister. Her hands felt cold, her breath shallow. I don't understand a single thing she's doing anymore. Seung reached out, placing a hand on her shoulder. It's going to be fine, Sum-young. Don't be scared. He tried to comfort her, but the terror Lily felt ran too deep. Her suspicion wasn't just a fleeting thought anymore. It was becoming a certainty. Her mother, someone she had loved and trusted her whole life, was now a stranger. Is she the same mom I always knew? Lily's mind spiraled. What kind of person had she been living with all these years? Seung leaned in closer. I'll keep helping you. I'm always here, okay? But even his words, meant to reassure her, couldn't stop the dread that was crawling up her spine. She could barely focus on anything beyond the feeling that her life was unraveling in front of her. I'm so scared of her, she thought, her heart pounding in her chest. They left the house in a rush, making their way to the police station. As they entered, a few officers glanced at them curiously. One of them, a man with kind eyes, handed them something warm. It's quite cold out. Here, drink this. But Lily couldn't even bring the cup to her lips. Her stomach churned with nausea again, the familiar sense of dread tightening around her. We're here to talk about my brother, she said softly, barely able to get the words out. He drowned. In Bo-Kilchin Park, the officer nodded solemnly, listening. But the more Lily spoke, the more her hands began to shake. If they find out Mom really killed Myung-jin, what happens to me? The thought clawed at her, dark and terrifying. She and her mother had already cut ties with her father's side of the family. If her mother was arrested, there would be no one left to take her in. Asterisk, what if they investigate the juice box? What if it turns out to be nothing, and Myung-jin really did die by accident? Asterisk, the uncertainty was paralyzing. What do I have left in my life if Mom's gone? Her chest tightened, guilt flooding her. Why had she survived when Myung-jin, the better sibling, hadn't? He was so much better than me. Lily's thoughts blurred into a haze of overwhelming fear and grief. Her breath hitched, her vision swimming, until finally her body gave out. Her knees buckled, and she collapsed to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. Seung was at her side in an instant, panic in his voice. Sam-young, are you okay? Please, can you stand up? But Lily couldn't answer. She was lost in the pain, the sorrow, the weight of everything she'd been holding in for too long. Myung-jin, she thought, her sobs choking her words. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The officers exchanged glances, whispering quietly. One of them turned to Seung, speaking in a low voice. I heard she performed CPR on her brother. It must have been traumatic for her. Seung nodded, his heart breaking as he watched Lily crumble before him. She's been through too much. Later, as they sat in the station, trying to make sense of everything, the investigation into Myeonjin's death seemed further away than ever. One of the officers asked quietly, Are you sure you're okay with letting things go without telling anyone what you suspect? Lily shook her head, her voice hollow. What's there for me to say when my brother accidentally drowned? But deep down, she knew the truth wasn't that simple. And as she sat there, staring at the cold, impersonal walls of the station, she wondered if she would ever truly be able to let go of the fear that gripped her heart. The sun hung low in the sky as Sum-young trudged along the sidewalk, exhaustion weighing heavily on her shoulders. She turned to Seung, her eyes heavy with regret. I'm tired, she murmured. Let's go home. Seung nodded, concern etched across his face. Okay. As they walked, Samyang's heart ached with the burden of the events that had unfolded. I'm sorry I pulled you into this only for nothing to come of it, she said, her voice barely a whisper. The weight of her mother's secrets bore down on her, suffocating. But listen, she thought, her resolve hardening. Asterisk right now. I'm still too young and powerless to question my mom and reveal the truth. But I swear, I'll become a real adult, not like her. And when that day comes, I'll make her pay for everything she's done, asterisk. Her mind was a battleground, filled with fear and determination. She envisioned herself standing up to her mother, no longer the scared little girl, but a young woman ready to confront the truth. I won't be pathetic like this. With those thoughts swirling in her mind, the day she had spent at the police station ended quietly, but the silence was deafening. "Sum-young, come downstairs for breakfast," her mother called from the kitchen, her voice oddly cheerful. As Sum-young descended the stairs, she felt a knot tighten in her stomach. "How does she know I went to the station?" "Did you stop by the station yesterday?" her mother asked, and Sum-young's heart raced. "Yes, I found and returned a lost wallet," she replied, trying to keep her voice steady, though doubt gnawed at her insides. "How did she find out? Right, Mom?" she added hastily, hoping to deflect suspicion. But the unease lingered like a shadow. Her mother handed her a glass. "Drink this before you go to school," she instructed. Sum-young took a sip, grateful that it felt lighter on her stomach than it had the previous day. "Is she going to give me a vegetable smoothie like usual?" As she took the glass, her mother continued, "I read through the mom's internet forum, and apparently it's not good to be too strict on snacking with kids. So I'm going to ease up on it a little, as long as it's things I approve." Sum-young's stomach twisted again. "Mom, I feel nauseous." "No, you've been eating so little ever since the accident. You at least have to have some juice, or else you could faint." She doesn't understand, Sum-young thought bitterly. How could she do this when she knows exactly how I feel after Myung-jin died in vain? The glass trembled in her hands, her heart pounding as her mother's eyes bore into her. "Drink every last drop in front of me before you go." Sum-young hesitated, the liquid seeming to swirl with the memories of that fateful day. The weight of her mother's gaze pressed down on her, and she felt the walls closing in again. "I can't escape this," she thought, the truth almost suffocating. Asterisk, I have to drink it. I have to survive this morning, asterisk. With a deep breath, she lifted the glass to her lips, forcing herself to take a sip, then another. Each drop felt like a bitter reminder, a promise of the uncertainty that lay ahead. As she swallowed, a part of her yearned for strength, for the courage to confront her mother and uncover the secrets hidden in their home. But for now, all she could do was drink. As Sum-young sat at the kitchen table, she forced down the last dregs of her juice, feeling the weight of her mother's words suffocating her. "That's right," her mother cooed, a sickly sweet tone lacing her voice. "Drink up. That's it. Look at how good you're being, listening to your mother. Everything I say is for you, you know." The words dripped with an unsettling mix of affection and control, making Sum-young's stomach churn. "You understand what I'm saying, right, Sum-young?" "Of course, mother," Sum-young replied with a hollow smile, though a storm brewed inside her. Each sip of juice felt like a reminder of the ordinary routine that had become painfully mundane after Myung-jin's death. It was as if life had continued on, but she was stuck in a dark haze. Long story short, nothing had changed. Every morning, an ordinary box of apple juice appeared on the table, the same one they'd had since childhood, yet it now felt laden with secrets. "Are you okay?" Seung's voice broke through her thoughts as he stepped into the kitchen, concern etched across his face. "I had to make sure to come." Sum-young shook her head slightly, still lost in her own world. "Where's your mom?" Seung asked, glancing around. "She stepped out for a bit," she replied, her heart heavy. The absence of her mother felt like a small blessing in that moment. "What's that in your hand?" Seung nodded toward a letter clutched tightly in her fingers. "What's with the letter?" "Myung-jin gave it to me a while back," she explained, her voice barely above a whisper. "I brought it with me so it could be cremated with him, but I don't think I can put it in." The words tasted bitter, a reminder of the loss that was too fresh and too painful to process. Sum-young could see the sympathy in Seung's eyes, the understanding that only someone who had also experienced grief could convey. "I can't quite say because I'm an only child, but you two were really close compared to other siblings. You must be having a really hard time right now," he said softly. She felt the weight of his words, but the truth was buried beneath her own conflicted feelings. "I didn't love Myung-jin right from the start either," she admitted, her voice cracking. "Just like a lot of eldest children feel toward their younger siblings. I felt like someone was taking what was mine away when Myung-jin was born." Memories flooded back, painting a picture of a younger Sum-young, feeling pushed aside as her mother's attention shifted to the new baby. "Mom got pregnant with Myung-jin when Dad was still around." Sum-young, her mother had exclaimed, bursting with excitement one afternoon. I have exciting news to share with you. You're going to have a younger sibling. Go congratulate your mother. Samyang had felt a rush of confusion. Babies are small and warm, she recalled her mother saying, but all she could think of was the space being taken up in her heart. I've been feeling weird ever since he was born. Is Mom happy because she had him? Her mother's voice echoed in her mind, wrapping around her like a comforting blanket. Did I wake you up, Samyang? Are you going to Myeonjin's room? Sorry, sweetie. Myeonjin's still very young. Would you like to go sleep in Mommy's room? There's a lot you have to share because you're the eldest, isn't there? Asterisk, it's okay, Mom. I'm fine. I'm a big sister now, after all. Asterisk, those words felt like a fragile promise, a mask she wore even when she didn't believe it herself. The memories continued to swirl in her mind, each one tinged with a bittersweet nostalgia that made her feel hollow. It was a confusing mix of love and resentment, a complicated bond that had now become an unbearable weight on her heart. Then, on her birthday, when Myungjin had finally started moving around on his own, she had thought things would change for the better. But now, in the echo of his absence, she wondered if she had ever truly known him. The burden of guilt and grief pressed down on her, heavier than any box of apple juice her mother could offer. As she sat at the table, Seung's gentle presence beside her reminded her that she wasn't entirely alone in her sorrow. But how could anyone truly understand the depths of what she felt? With a heavy heart and an unyielding determination, Samyang knew that she had to find a way to confront her feelings, even if it meant unraveling the truth she had long tried to ignore. Samyang's birthday began with the familiar cheer of her family, but it felt different this year. Daddy got you a cake from your favorite bakery, Samyang. Happy birthday, dear Samyang. Happy birthday to you. The excited voices sang around her, and she felt a twinge of joy mingle with a deeper sense of loss. Now blow those candles out, her father urged, his eyes sparkling with anticipation. Samyang took a deep breath, preparing to blow out the flickering flames, but before she could, her little brother Myungjin lunged forward, eager to join in the celebration. Oh, he puffed, a wide grin on his face. Hey, what are you doing? Grab him. Samyang's mother's voice rose, sharp and frantic. Are you okay, Myungjin? Did you get burned at all? Samyang watched, caught in the crossfire of her mother's frantic worry and her brother's innocent excitement. It was a familiar scene, one that would repeat itself over the years. As her birthday candles flickered in front of her, she could feel the pressure mounting. In the following years, the birthday ritual became clear. Samyang simply let Myungjin blow out her candles, a sacrifice she willingly made to keep the peace. We should let Myungjin blow out the candles. He wants to do it, her mother insisted, her eyes alight with that same possessive love she often displayed. What's the matter? Her mother pressed, catching Samyang's hesitance. She wants him to blow them out? Samyang wanted to scream that it was her birthday, not his. You don't have to let him do that. It's your birthday. Her mother chided gently, but her tone was laced with an unspoken command. What do you know about raising children to say things like that? She thought bitterly, her insides knotting as her feelings of resentment twisted like a vine around her heart. Are you all right? Her mother asked, concern creeping into her voice. I'm fine, Mom, Samyang replied, though the words felt false. The truth was she was anything but fine. Ugh, he must take after his father, unlike you, Samyang. He's selfish, just like him. The words hung heavily in the air, a harsh judgment that cut deeper than any birthday cake could sweeten. Samyang stared at her brother, who was blissfully unaware of the turmoil that surrounded him. That's why I thought I would live my life always letting him have things, she mused, her mind racing. I thought he was a selfish kid, just like Mom said, and that I was different from him. Happy birthday, dear Samyang. Happy birthday to you. They sang once more, and Samyang felt a lump rise in her throat. Here, you blow out the candles this time, too. No, you should blow them out. Today's your birthday, sis, Myungjin insisted, his innocent determination shining through. And here, take this. He handed her a crumpled piece of paper. It's a birthday letter for you. I wrote it because I had spare time at kindergarten. Read it by yourself. Thank you, Samyang whispered, her heart swelling despite the turmoil inside her. As she held the letter, a flicker of understanding began to dawn within her. Myungjin blew out her birthday candles, not because he was bad or selfish or beyond help. Asterisk he didn't know because he never learned better. He was just a child asterisk. In that moment, a wave of realization washed over her. It was all a first for Myungjin too. But as she looked at her mother, the tightness in her chest returned. She knew her mom wasn't the type to accept imperfections or failures, especially not from her children. If Samyang wanted to live as her mother's daughter, she felt the suffocating pressure to be perfect. The funeral had been simple, but the grief was overwhelming. Myungjin was cremated, and with him, all the swirling suspicions about their mother, the accusations that hung like shadows over their family. Those buried secrets and the truth would burn in the fire. In what felt like both a long and a short time, Samyang found herself standing at the entrance of Bokal Middle School, the cool air brushing against her skin as she prepared for a new chapter. The chaos of her childhood swirled in her mind, but with it came a fierce resolve. I won't let my mother's expectations define me, she vowed silently. I will carve my own path. With each step into the school, Samyang felt a sense of determination build within her. She would not be just the dutiful daughter who let her brother take the lead. She would find her own voice and embrace her own identity, however imperfect it might be. And perhaps, in doing so, she could finally begin to understand her brother, her mother, and most importantly, herself. Samyang stood at the threshold of a new chapter in her life, the air buzzing with the chatter of fellow students. My days in elementary school have finally ended, she thought, a sense of relief washing over her. But her excitement was quickly dampened as she caught wind of the words from her classmates. F asterisk asterisk K. I got a SH asterisk TTY homeroom. With a mix of curiosity and annoyance, she turned to the girl beside her. Hey, what's your name? Samyang Gil, she replied, her voice barely concealing the bitterness lingering from her previous experiences. Samyang? Oh, you're in a different homeroom. That's too bad. Bye, Samyang. Let's say hi next time we run into each other. The girl waved, already drifting into the crowd, leaving Samyang feeling oddly isolated. Asterisk, do you smell perfume somewhere? Is it hers? Asterisk thoughts of the friendly girl tugged at her curiosity, but her mind wandered back to the past. Who is she? Samyang thought, recalling the entrance ceremony. Asterisk, what was her name? I think she said it's Namsu Seo asterisk. As she surveyed the bustling halls, she noted, I don't see many kids from our elementary school here. A pang of loneliness crept in, and she reminded herself, but this is the neighborhood middle school. Yeah, but I like it better this way, she insisted, mostly to herself. At least here, there were no whispers about Myunjin's accident like in grade 6, where every conversation felt laced with pity and judgment. How are things at home these days? A voice interrupted her thoughts. Ordinary, Samyang replied, but the word felt heavy on her tongue. Ordinary was a thin veil over the chaos that lurked beneath. Things are so peaceful that it's weird, she continued, her heart conflicted. It's almost as if Dad and Myungjin never existed, yet she found a twisted comfort in this new normal, a peace that allowed her to breathe without the weight of memories crashing down on her. But I'm still going to do everything I can to get away from Mom, she resolved. At least she'll approve of me for the time being. Do you want to apply to a high school for gifted children? Her mother's voice cut through her thoughts, the excitement dancing in her tone. My daughter's full of drive after just getting into middle school. Well, you were in the camo class at the academy. It's definitely doable. That's the plan, Samyang thought, a flicker of determination igniting within her. She nodded, feeling the weight of expectations settle on her shoulders. What do we do? Her mother mused. I'm sure it won't happen to my smart little girl, but I've seen some cases where the student expends all their energy at the specialized high school and doesn't get into a good college. Samyang felt a surge of frustration bubble beneath her calm exterior. Why does everything have to be about college? But she kept her voice steady. Then let's do this. If you get straight A's until the first term of 8th grade, I'll help you with the application. You don't need that high of an average to get into a specialized high school, Samyang started, but her mother cut her off. Think of it as practice for getting good grades to get into college. Okay, that sounds good, she replied, though the words felt hollow. The weight of expectations pressed down on her, mixing with her ambitions and fears. For months later, the atmosphere in the classroom was chaotic. Laughter echoed off the walls as students reveled in their freedom from exams. You all made a complete mess of the classroom now that final exams are over. You won't be able to laugh now. One of the classmates joked, the tension of the semester dissipating like mist in the morning sun. Your grades are out. Come get them. Starting with seat number 1, the teacher announced, her voice cutting through the noise. Samyung's heart raced as she awaited her turn. Let's see. Number 1 is... It's our homeroom president, Samyung Gil. A hush fell over the room as all eyes turned to her. Asterisk my first grades in middle school. This will decide if I can run away from home or not. Asterisk. Please, please, she whispered to herself, willing the universe to grant her wish. Hey, hurry up and show me. How'd you do? A friend nudged her. Do you think you got all A's? Another chimed in, excitement brewing in the air. Holy crap, what the hell is this? Samyung's friend gasped, her voice rising in disbelief. What the hell are you going to do from now on? The question hung in the air, and Samyung felt the weight of it all crash down. She gazed at her grades, heart pounding. The numbers held more than just letters and scores. They represented a lifeline, a chance to escape the suffocating expectations of her mother. Asterisk, this is it. I can finally take control of my life. Asterisk, she thought, determination flooding her veins. But a whisper of doubt crept in. Will it be enough? With a deep breath, Samyung steeled herself for what lay ahead. This was only the beginning, and she was ready to fight for her future, whatever it may hold. The classroom buzzed with excitement as Samyung's classmates gathered around, their faces lit with a mix of surprise and envy. What are you going to do now that you got these grades right off the bat? Someone asked, eyes wide with disbelief. Why are you overreacting like that? Did she flunk? Another teased, but the laughter faded as they caught a glimpse of the report card. I thought the class president would be really smart. That's unexpected. Whoa. Hey, this is nuts. The pres got all 100s. Whoa, really? That's amazing. A ripple of admiration coursed through the room, echoing off the walls. This is the first time I'm seeing something like this. So cool. Who knew this would happen in middle school? Give it back, you bastards. I want to see too. The shouts blended with laughter, creating a chaotic symphony of celebration. Samyung's heart raced, caught in a whirlwind of emotions. She had worked so hard, pouring every ounce of energy into her studies, and now it was paying off. But as the applause washed over her, a whisper of anxiety crept in. What were you thinking, doing so well on the first exams? A voice in her head warned. Won't your mother's expectations become too high? Wow, this is unbelievable, a classmate mused. I'm going to see if I can get some of this luck to rub off on me. Congrats, Samyung. I guess you won't have to worry about not getting all A's. Another chimed in. You probably nailed the performance evaluation, too. Each word felt like a double-edged sword. Samyung smiled, but beneath the surface, the pressure built. Asterisk, I can't fail. I have to keep this up. Asterisk. Official report card distribution day, the teacher announced, and the energy shifted as the students anticipated the moment that would define their standing in the class. Wow, congratulations. Someone in our homeroom got the highest grade in school. 00000. The gasps echoed throughout the room. Whoa, I knew it. Her grades are amazing. She's amazing. A familiar warmth spread through Samyung at the words of praise. I knew my daughter would do well in middle school too, her mother's voice echoed in her mind, a blend of pride and expectation. Great work. Just keep up the good work. I'll put this up for display on the fridge, she imagined her saying, and for a moment, the pressure felt lighter. But with winter break approaching, the joy was tinged with a familiar fear. What if I can't keep this up? As the days rolled into winter break, the school buzzed with a new excitement. The promise of a fresh start hung in the air, and as the students prepared for their third-grade homeroom assignments, Samyung felt a mix of anxiety and anticipation. Did you get assigned to a new homeroom for third grade? Which one are you in? Someone asked her. I'm in class 1, she replied, almost shyly. Whoa, amazing. I'm in class 1 too. I'm Namsu. You remember me, right? The girl's face lit up with joy, and Samyang couldn't help but smile back. Looks like we finally get to be in the same homeroom. This is my friend, Hyejin Shim. As they exchanged pleasantries, Samyang felt a spark of excitement ignite within her. Maybe this year will be different. Isn't she the one who gets the best grades in school? Namsu whispered to Hyejin. I heard all she does is study during recess. Samyang chuckled softly, but inside, the familiar fear crept back in. You're so wild. Why are you studying when today's the day winter break starts? Asterisk, a voice in her head taunted. Because I have to keep going, she reminded herself. I can't let my mom down, and I can't let myself fail. As the new year approached, Samyang stood on the brink of a new beginning, filled with both hope and trepidation. This time I'll make it count. In the bustling corridors of Bakail Middle School, tension hung thick in the air as Namsu's voice cut through the chatter like a knife. I'm taking this away. Stop it. She grabbed a textbook, trying to pull it from her classmate's grasp. Don't be mean to her, Namsu, Samyang interjected, stepping forward. She felt a surge of protectiveness for Hyejin, who stood quietly, her brow furrowed in confusion. She doesn't even look like the type to be able to ask you to leave her alone. Samyang's heart raced, a mixture of fear and determination fueling her courage. She wasn't one to back down, especially when it came to defending someone who didn't deserve to be bullied. As the argument simmered down, the conversation shifted, and Namsu's curiosity sparked. If you're that good at studying, are you already going to an English academy? Are you going to try and get her to join the one you go to? The question lingered in the air, pulling Hyejin's attention toward the ground, a blush creeping onto her cheeks. No, I just get tutored, though I'm about to quit soon, Hyejin replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Whoa. No asterisk way. If you quit tutoring, want to go to the same English academy during winter break. Namsu's enthusiasm was infectious. What academy? Samyang asked, intrigued. It's a place on the corner of Bakail River Four-Way. They run classes just for our school students during exam season. Heemin, Haejung, and Hyunju from our school already go there too. Namsu explained, her excitement bubbling over. The 5 of us are pretty close. With you around, we'll be an even number during 3rd year. It's perfect. Just the girls that'll be in class 1 next year. Samyang's mind raced as she took in the list of names. Heemin Lee, Haejung Kang, Hyunju Kim, Namsu Seo, and Hyejin Shim. The camaraderie felt like a beacon of light, drawing her in. But she also sensed the pressure that came with it, the expectations, the competition, and the need to fit in. What if I don't belong? She wondered, a pang of anxiety washing over her. You can tell she's an academic type at first glance, someone chimed in, pointing at Hyejin. I bet she doesn't want to hang out with us, because we seem like total slackers. Ugh, why are you calling us slackers? Especially when we have Hyunju. Namsu shot back, her tone defensive yet playful. You're just being jealous because you can't come to the academy with us. I'm not jealous. It sounds fun? I'll think about it. Hyejin finally spoke up, a flicker of interest lighting her eyes. Samyang felt a swell of admiration for Hyejin's resilience. Despite the teasing and pressure, she maintained her composure. Asterisk, I get it. She just wants to focus on her studies, like I do. Asterisk, the thought made Samyang realize she wasn't alone in her ambitions. See? She thinks it'll be fun too. Namsu beamed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Will you quit it? Hyejin exclaimed, her cheeks flushed. But even in her irritation, there was a glimmer of enthusiasm for what lay ahead. As the bell rang, signaling the end of lunch, Samyang felt a mix of hope and trepidation. The possibility of a new friendship and academic challenge loomed ahead. Maybe joining the academy could be the fresh start I need, she thought, a small smile creeping onto her face. But beneath that smile, she knew the stakes. Asterisk, if I join them, I can't let myself falter. I have to prove that I'm just as capable as they are. Asterisk. With her heart pounding in her chest, Samyang stepped into the hallway, ready to embrace whatever came next. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, it felt promising. As the sun dipped low in the sky, casting long shadows across the bustling streets of Bakail, Sung-young walked with her friend, Nam-soo, down the familiar path toward home. Hey, Sung-young, want to head home together too? Which bus do you take? Nam-soo's cheerful voice broke through Sung-young's thoughts. She smiled, grateful for the company. 1733, she replied, feeling a flutter of warmth at the thought of their friendship. Holy crap! I heard only one person got perfect on the English final exam this year. That was you. Nam-soo's eyes widened in disbelief, and Sung-young felt her cheeks heat up. I got lucky, Sung-young mumbled, trying to downplay the achievement. But inside, she felt a thrill. For years, she'd worked tirelessly, pushing herself to excel academically. It was validating to know her efforts had paid off, even if it made her feel like she was standing on a pedestal, something she wasn't quite comfortable with. That's so wild. I suck at studying, and I don't even want to try anyway. Nam-soo's honesty was refreshing. Then why do you go to the English Academy? Sung-young asked, a hint of curiosity creeping in. Was that a bit rude of me to ask? Sorry. Nam-soo's tone softened, but Sung-young shook her head, reassured. Huh? No, it's okay. Clenching her fists playfully, Nam-soo continued. That's because my friends go. What's so good about going with friends? Sung-young pondered this, intrigued. I don't know. Getting on the same bus and going to the academy with close friends, sitting next to each other during class, hanging out during break time, and wondering what to eat together after class is over. Isn't that the fun of going to an academy? Sung-young felt her heart stir. It was a feeling she hadn't considered before. The academy had always been a place of rigorous study for her, a battleground for grades and expectations. Maybe there's more to it than just academics, she thought. Wow, your mom gave you permission right away. Nam-soo exclaimed, her excitement contagious. No, Sung-young admitted with a half-hearted laugh. But I'm so happy I get to go to the same academy with you. Sung-young, my English grade isn't that important for getting into a specialized high school, but since they have classes that can help me get better grades for third year, Nam-soo trailed off, her face lighting up with anticipation. Let's go to the convenience store together to celebrate. My treat, Nam-soo exclaimed, tugging at Sung-young's sleeve. Sung-young felt a rush of happiness. This was the first time she signed up for anything with such enthusiasm, rather than just for the grades. I should be allowed to do this at least once, right? She thought, relishing the thought of a break from the relentless pressure she usually felt. As they neared the school entrance, Nam-soo exclaimed, I can't believe we're already back to school. Time goes by so fast. Did you do all your homework for the English Academy, Sung-young? Yeah, I did. Whoa, will you let me see it later? Your hair is so soft, by the way, Nam-soo complimented, reaching out to touch it. Tada, it's a French braid, Sung-young replied with a proud smile. You seem really interested in beauty-related stuff. It's cool that you wear perfume and everything, Nam-soo observed, her eyes sparkling with admiration. Yeah, I want to become a stylist one day, Sung-young said, her voice filled with a mix of hope and determination. Can I take a photo of the back of your head and upload it to my Instagram? Of course. My screen protector cracked. This is the pop cap I bought with you last time, but mine's the only one that fell off. This kind of stuff only ever happens to me. Life is Sung-young chuckled, watching Nam-soo's dramatic antics with affection. You always stare at me when I swear. Have you never sworn before? I've never. Seriously? That's wild. Try saying dot. Hyojin blurted out, her voice laced with a mix of hesitation and amusement. Where'd you go, Jomyoung? Nam-soo joked, her smile infectious. I miss you, Hyojin responded, a playful twinkle in her eyes. As they reached the classroom, they found their homeroom teacher reviewing the acceptance syllabus. Thank you for helping me print this, Hyojin said, her tone polite and respectful. Hey, Sung-young, listen to me for a minute, the teacher said, his voice serious. Let me tell you something in advance. I'm not the kind of teacher to write you a recommendation letter just because you're good at studying. Behave yourself and don't make a fuss. Just stay like you've been until now. Sung-young felt a knot tighten in her stomach. Ugh, F. He's just nagging for the sake of it, asterisk, she thought, rolling her eyes. But even as the weight of expectations loomed over her, the laughter and camaraderie shared with Namsu and Hyojin felt like a lifeline. As they settled into their seats, Samyoung couldn't shake the thought that perhaps this year, with its new opportunities and friendships, might be the turning point she had been hoping for. The sun hung low in the sky, its warm rays fighting against the chill of the approaching evening. Samyoung felt a familiar knot in her stomach as she approached the school entrance. Rumors about their homeroom teacher echoed in her mind. The infamous Mr. Shin, known for his cruel remarks and unsettling behavior. Our homeroom teacher's famous for being a piece of Samyoung grumbled to Namsu, her voice laced with disdain. He was criticizing my skirt last time, and subtly felt my leg up. Namsu's eyes widened, a mixture of shock and anger flashing across her face. Are you okay? There's nothing to be okay about, Samyoung replied, recalling the lingering discomfort of Mr. Shin's unwanted touch. His short, sticky fingers and sweaty body felt like a violation, a reminder that some adults could be anything but safe. The incident had cast a shadow over her school experience, making her question every compliment and critique from teachers. Sometimes you don't have a filter, do you? Namsu shook her head in disbelief. That bastard needs to get what's coming to him. Samyoung felt a flicker of gratitude for Namsu's outrage. It felt good to have someone in her corner, but the reality remained grim. Can't you get your letter of recommendation for your application from your last year homeroom teacher? All my previous teachers retired or transferred to different schools, so Samyoung sighed, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. It's best if a teacher who's still teaching writes one. Ugh, life is such as she lamented, her mood darkening with the weight of her circumstances. Oh, my Samyoung, I'm sorry you have to put up with this. Namsu's sympathetic tone warmed Samyoung's heart. Mama, will you let me off at the big intersection over there? Samyoung asked, shifting the conversation. My friend and I are going to have dinner together before English class. All right, then I'll see you at the academy when you're done with class, her mother replied, her tone lightening. Don't eat garbage just because you're eating out with a friend. By garbage, I mean fast food or things like tteokbokki. Of course, Samyoung promised, suppressing a smile at her mother's familiar warnings. Have fun, and if you need anything, just let me know. The memories you make with friends during school last the longest, you know? Her mother called out as Samyoung stepped out of the car, the weight of her words lingering in the air. As Samyoung and Namsu walked, the conversation turned lighter. Samyoung, I heard there's a huge wait if you get there late. It's a famous place on Stargram, Namsu said, her excitement infectious. Whoa, look over there, Samyoung. Namsu pointed at the stone bridge in Bakhilchan Park, now surrounded by construction workers. It looks like it's finally getting removed. You know, a kid drowned there a few years ago, right? Samyoung felt a cold wave of dread wash over her, memories flooding back. How could she forget? It's so screwed up that they left it there until now, even after an accident like that happened. Shouldn't they put a fence around it so people can't get close to it? It's so friggin' creepy that someone died here. Namsu laughed nervously, but Samyoung felt her heart sink. The kid that died, it was my brother, Namsu. The words hung heavily in the air, an unexpected weight between them. Samyoung watched as realization washed over Namsu's face, the color draining from her cheeks. I had no idea, and I ended up saying too much. I'm so sorry. You must be upset, Samyoung. No, it's okay, Samyoung replied softly, though a part of her felt hollow. She hadn't intended to share such a painful part of her life, but now it was out there. I just mentioned it because I was worried you might feel uncomfortable if you found out down the line. Silence enveloped them as Namsu processed this revelation. Asterisk, so Samyoung's the family of the kid who died in the Bakail River Park accident. This is the first time Samyoung's told me about something like this, asterisk, Namsu thought, a wave of empathy washing over her. Why in the world did you keep this to yourself until now? Namsu asked gently. We're friends, but I feel like we barely know anything about each other. I want to hear more about you. I'll tell you all about my family, too. We're best friends, aren't we? Samyang felt a rush of emotion at Namsu's words. For years, she had believed she was mature, and that maturity often kept her guarded. But at 16, the weight of her family's tragedy had turned her inward, isolating her from the friendships she craved. I still regret becoming close with Namsu that day. I never should have. That would have been best for me, for Namsu, and for everyone. As they stood by the edge of the park, Samyang's heart felt both heavy and light. The truth had come out, and with it, the potential for deeper connection with Namsu. In that moment, she realized that sharing her burdens might just lead to healing, not just for her, but for their friendship. That day, as Samyang walked beside Namsu, an unspoken bond began to weave itself between them. They shared superficial glimpses into their lives, little tidbits about their families, stories that felt safe and uncomplicated. Samyang held back the more profound truths about her mother, while Namsu skirted around her own complexities. But even in their guarded exchanges, there was a warmth that enveloped them, a sense of closeness that had been absent before. To be honest, sharing those small pieces of their lives made them feel connected in a way that was both exhilarating and comforting. Samyang couldn't help but think it was a nice feeling, one that made her believe that trust could flourish between them. Yet, somewhere in the back of her mind, a shadow lurked, a whisper of doubt that suggested what they were building could easily turn into something dangerous. What if Namsu took the metaphorical knife of trust and turned it against her? What if all this was just a game? Their conversation turned lighthearted when Namsu pulled out her phone. "Whoa," she exclaimed, her fingers gliding across the screen. "Hey Namsu, the person next to you in your profile photo. Is that Samyang Gil?" "Yeah," Namsu replied, her excitement bubbling over. "What's up?" "Be careful, Namsu," came a warning message from a mutual acquaintance. "Try not to piss Samyang off if you can. She was known to be really intense." Namsu laughed, shaking her head in disbelief. "What is she talking about?" "Samyang's so friggin' sweet." "Samyang, let's go to the convenience store together," Namsu called out, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "I like hanging out with you best." "Best, huh? Why's that?" Samyang asked, a teasing smile playing on her lips. "Because I feel most comfortable around you," Namsu replied, her sincerity evident. Samyang felt a rush of warmth at those words. It was nice to be seen as someone who made another person feel at ease. She glanced around at the other girls in their class, some of whom seemed to float through life like they had been born with silver spoons in their mouths. Their polished appearances and effortless confidence made Samyang acutely aware of her own insecurities. She knew people often judged her by the friends she hung out with, the clothes she wore, and the way she looked. "Why are you wearing your skirt like that?" Her mother's voice echoed in her mind, criticism laced with concern. "I wish you'd take after your friend a little." "Ah, come on," Samyang protested, waving her hand dismissively. "I'll wear it correctly tomorrow." Smack! Namsu playfully nudged her shoulder. "I'm only letting you off easy because I trust your friend." Samyang chuckled, a hint of guilt dancing in her chest. She knew that trust could be fragile, but in that moment, as they walked together towards the convenience store, she decided to savor it. Their friendship was like a delicate flower blooming in the sunlight, fragile yet beautiful. In the ever-changing landscape of school life, it felt good to have someone who saw her for who she really was, who accepted her flaws and celebrated her strengths. As they continued down the street, the air thick with the smell of snacks and the chatter of students, Samyang felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this time, she could allow herself to open up a little more, to let Namsu see the parts of her that had been hidden for so long. Maybe sharing those deeper stories wouldn't feel like a betrayal, but rather a step towards a more authentic friendship. Samyang watched as Namsu flopped onto her bed, her body language a cocktail of frustration and defeat. The weight of her friend's home life hung in the air, palpable and heavy, just like the laundry sprawled across the room. Samyang felt a surge of empathy for Namsu, who was always so cheerful and bubbly at school. It was hard to reconcile that bright exterior with the storm brewing behind it. "Samyang, I want you to make sure Namsu gets her skirt tailored to be longer." Her mother's voice echoed in her mind, a nagging reminder that while her own life felt straightforward, Namsu's world seemed like a constant battle. School is easy compared to life at home, Namsu muttered, her tone sulking. Samyang frowned, knowing exactly what she meant. As much as she loved her family, they could be a source of endless pressure and chaos. Hey, get this out of here! If asterisk 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 told you not to leave your clothes all over my bed. Namsu shouted suddenly, breaking the silence like a sudden thunderstorm. Samyang instinctively shrank back. It was like watching a volcano ready to erupt, and she knew how volatile Namsu could get when pushed. "What's the matter this time?" came the tired voice of Namsu's sister, irritation lacing every syllable. "Tsk, why are you making such a fuss again?" Namsu retorted, her eyes blazing. "I'm not making a fuss," she shot back, frustration boiling under the surface. Samyang felt the tension suffocating the room. Asterisk, why do I have to share a room with her when you and Appa have your own? Asterisk, Namsu's words rang through Samyang's ears. She couldn't understand why Namsu felt the need to shout. It was all so unfair. Samyang couldn't help but feel sympathy for her friend. She understood that Namsu was angry about sharing a cramped space while her brother had the privilege of his own room. "We don't get rooms, but you even have an office, Dad." Namsu's voice dripped with sarcasm as she directed her words at their father, who was likely working from home. "You know your father works from home? And your brother's in his senior year of high school," came the tired reply. Sighing, Samyang thought about how much her own room meant to her. It was her sanctuary, a space where she could escape the chaos of the world. She could only imagine how Namsu felt sharing a room where every small mess turned into a battlefield. "I get that Appa needs his own room because he's a guy," Namsu continued, her voice filled with bitterness. "But why is it that his room is bigger and nicer than the room we have to share?" "That's because he has to study." "I study too," Namsu interrupted, the fire in her voice rising again. "I'm a student too, you know." Samyang could sense the desperation bubbling beneath Namsu's bravado. She was fighting not just for space, but for recognition, a place in a family that seemed to overlook her. The emotional weight was exhausting to watch. "Since when do you study?" came the dismissive reply, dripping with disbelief. "And how dare you yell at your father?" "I'm going to study once I'm in high school." "Okay. I can't focus because I live in a crap hole like this. We're so poor that I don't even have my own room. It's so pathetic that—" "Don't you dare talk like that, Namsu." The conversation continued to spiral, and Samyang felt like an outsider peering into a drama that was all too familiar. She'd seen this play out before, the constant tug-of-war for approval and acknowledgement. Then, in a moment of defiance, Namsu declared, "Then once Appa gets into college and goes to live in a dorm, his room is mine, right? You're not going to give it to her, right?" "We'll have to see. Whoever gets better grades will get the bigger room," their father replied with a tone of finality. "What? Appa F asterisk 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 he sucked at studying too, though. He put age first, but now it's grades. My parents don't even care what I want to become. They're so annoying." Sitting in Samyang's room, the walls felt like they were closing in on them. The sharp contrast between Namsu's struggles and Samyang's seemingly easy life hit her hard. "Your room is so nice, Samyang. It's big and clean," Namsu said, her voice tinged with longing. "It's because my mom looks after it," Samyang replied softly, wishing she could do more to ease her friend's burden. "Then, does she ever come in without permission? Isn't it really annoying when family members do that? They just burst in, and you don't get any privacy." Samyang thought about her own mom, always checking in but never crossing that invisible line into intrusion. There was a comfort in that closeness, a familiarity that she cherished, even when it felt overwhelming. As they continued their group assignment, Samyang couldn't shake the feeling of helplessness. She wanted to help Namsu, to pull her out of the chaos of her home life. But how could she? The weight of Namsu's struggles pressed heavily on her heart, and she vowed silently to be there for her friend, to listen and support her in whatever way she could. Maybe, just maybe, they could navigate the storm together, drawing strength from one another in a world that often felt so isolating. The afternoon sunlight filtered through the classroom window, casting a gentle glow that seemed to dance around the girls as they lounged, their voices rising and falling like the playful breeze outside. Namsu leaned back in her chair, frustration bubbling just beneath the surface as she fired off a retort. Ugh, I agree. If it's that annoying, you should clean it yourself. That's what I do. Hyejin's voice rang out, punctuated by the laughter of the others. But for Namsu, Hyejin's words felt more like a jab than a friendly tease. Shut up, Hyejin. What do you know? She snapped, her irritation flaring. Why, you little, she muttered, her mind racing with all the unspoken thoughts about how the others always seemed so carefree. Suddenly, someone piped up, diverting the tension in the room. Wow! Girls, look! There's a rainbow at the window. Namsu turned, her annoyance forgotten for a moment. Whoa! Will you take a photo for me so I can upload it to Stargram? Is Stargram that fun? Someone asked, skepticism lacing their voice. Yeah, it's so friggin' fun. I'm gonna become a celebrity, Namsu declared, a smile breaking through her earlier frustration. It was a fleeting escape from the realities of her life, a reminder that even in the chaos, there were moments of joy to be found. As the girls chatted excitedly, Namsu's mind wandered back to her home life. Where'd Sung-young go? One of her friends asked, breaking her reverie. She went to go ask the math teacher for a reference letter. I hear she's going to apply to a specialized high school, came the reply. Wow, she must be really smart. She's always first in the school. Yeah, she's been busy preparing her cover letter, another added, a hint of admiration in her tone. To Namsu, Sung-young was like a distant star, always shining bright and seemingly perfect. To be honest, I was a bit surprised when we were working on our group project this weekend. She was the only one whose research material was really useful. How is it that she works so hard at life? Namsu wondered, a mixture of admiration and envy swirling inside her. But just then, a wave of melancholy washed over her as she recalled the whispers she had heard about Samyang's past. Samyang's father went missing, and her little brother died in an accident in elementary school. Maybe that's why she tries so hard. Namsu felt a pang of guilt for feeling envious of Samyang's achievements, knowing now that her friend's relentless drive was rooted in loss and pain. Why is she talking about someone's personal family stuff like that? Namsu thought, her heart aching at the realization. Really? No wonder her mom was the only one home even though it was the weekend. I just thought her dad was out. The comments flew around the room, laden with a heavy sense of newfound understanding. Me too. Now I feel bad for her. She must have been through so much, another friend chimed in. Yeah, so you all need to watch what you say in front of Samyang. That's the reason why I'm telling you all this. I don't mean anything bad by it. The conversation shifted again as they recalled Samyang's early days in middle school. I heard her brother died in grade 5, which is why Samyang was so depressed when she first came to middle school. But she seems to have lightened up a lot ever since she started hanging out with us. Oh, so you've been trying to make sure to take care of her. You've been so attentive all this time. Huh. Namsu felt a warm blush creeping up her cheeks as her friends showered her with compliments. Seriously, you're really caring, Namsu. Yeah, you're so sweet, another girl added, grinning. Huh? I kind of like where this is going, Namsu stammered, suddenly feeling self-conscious, yet proud of her newfound role. Oh, no way. I didn't do much. I'm starting to feel a bit better, she confessed, feeling lighter in spirit. In that moment, it struck her how their perceptions of Samyang were shifting, how she wasn't just the star student, but someone who needed their support just as much as they needed hers. All this time, it looked like Samyang was the one who let her hang out with her. But now that Namsu reflected on it, she realized that Samyang could be a bit too quiet if they didn't reach out first. Yeah, she's not very fun, but now, it seems like I'm looking after her, Namsu mused, her heart swelling with affection. Wait, is that Namsu? A voice interrupted her thoughts, cutting through the laughter. There you are, Namsu. Go check your room. What is this? Namsu said, confusion painting her features as she saw her brother's old backpack on her bed. It's your brother's backpack. You said you needed one, didn't you? A storm brewed within her, a familiar anger rising to the surface. My mood always turns to sh*t when I come home. You know that? Do not give me crappy hand-me-downs like this. I'm not even asking for anything nice. Just buy me something new for once. Don't you honestly think you're discriminating against me compared to Big Bro? If you were the firstborn, I'd have bought you new things. Your sister also gets hand-me-downs. Don't you dare use words like that. You're being impertinent. The argument escalated, each word slicing deeper than the last, echoing around her heart like an unwanted melody. If you think you're all that, then go make your own money and buy yourself new things, Namsu. She felt a wave of despair wash over her. How could a kid in middle school make any kind of money when all the part-time jobs are for high school students or older? She wondered bitterly. Life is sh*t, she sighed, the weight of her reality pressing down on her like a thick fog. I've never seen that bag before. Give it here. I'll put it beside me, her friend said, reaching for the backpack. Thanks, Namsu mumbled, feeling a mix of gratitude and frustration. Some young, one of her friends said, pulling her attention back. Isn't this cafe super pretty? Will you take a photo for me? OMG Namsu, your bag is so pretty, someone squealed, breaking the tension in the air. Isn't that Dayar? Another exclaimed, eyes wide with excitement. Holy crap! Yeah, thanks, I just got it. Namsu replied, a spark of joy igniting within her once more. For a brief moment, the world felt lighter, the burdens slipping away as laughter bubbled up around them. Maybe, just maybe, life wasn't all bad. The laughter and excitement filled the air as the girls gathered in the bustling hallway, the smell of popcorn and cotton candy swirling around them. Samyang stood slightly apart, her eyes sparkling with anticipation as she snapped her fingers to get Namsu's attention. Samyang, let's take a photo together, Namsu called out, her voice cutting through the noise like a ray of sunshine. Hey, Namsu, Samyang began, but her words were interrupted by another voice. Cancel. What's up? Namsu asked, her curiosity piqued. Oh my god! Samyang, look at this! A wave of excitement rushed through her as she held up her phone, her heart racing with the thrill of sharing the latest news. The guy I'm casually seeing said he'll come pick me up after sports day. I see. That's awesome. Samyang replied, a genuine smile breaking across her face. Want to see? Isn't he handsome? Yeah, he is. Namsu chimed in, her heart fluttering at the thought of romance and teenage crushes. Just then, Hyunwoo strolled by, a friendly grin plastered across his face. How's it going? He called out, his cheerful demeanor lighting up the hallway. Hyunwoo, did your homeroom win? Namsu shot back, eager to share in the excitement. No, it's too bad, he said, glancing at Samyang. Who's that? She must be your friend. Huh? Samyang glanced nervously at Namsu, who felt a flicker of anxiety. Should we invite her to the hangout after? What did you say? Namsu replied, her heart racing. Don't get me wrong. I saw her talking to you, and thought you two seemed close. I only asked since my friends will be there too. The sudden shift in the conversation left Namsu feeling on edge. What if I made things awkward? Ugh, I'm so screwed, Samyang muttered, her voice laced with frustration. Namsu could sense her tension. I got annoyed and was pissy with him all night. How do I make up with Hyunwoo? Hyunwoo's friend, Hyakin. That bastard, Namsu thought, her mind racing with memories of Hyakin's smirk. That motherf**********. Meanwhile, the pressure of impending finals and the weight of submitting applications to specialized high schools loomed over Namsu like a dark cloud. It's almost final exam season and time to submit the application for the specialized high school. Let's not blow this. I've been doing so well. Her heart sank as she felt the pressure building inside her. This is so shitty, my life is such sh*t*. Hey Namsu, what's up with you these days? All the stuff you've been posting on Starram is so wild. You have so many more followers now too, Samyang exclaimed, her eyes wide with genuine interest. Huh? Oh yeah. It just happened, Namsu replied, feeling a mix of pride and embarrassment. What's going on? It's a bit weird. You always complained to us that you didn't have any money, Whoa, what's this about? Oh, it's just that Namsu always talked crap about her family. I've already heard so much about her older brother. so it's a little weird that they're suddenly so well off now. Namsu felt a knot tighten in her stomach. Asterisk, now that I think about it, they're right. What's with that? Asterisk, right? But if it's hard for her to talk about, I guess there's nothing we can do, another friend chimed in, softening the criticism. Maybe she has a rich new boyfriend, Haijung teased, a playful glint in her eye. Nananine, it's nothing like that, Namsu protested, flustered. That's right, Haijung. You're going a bit too far. Then why won't she tell us? It's annoying. She always came to us with all kinds of complaints. What are we? Her emotional trash can? Don't you agree, girls? The laughter that followed felt like a weight pressing down on Namsu's chest. The thing is, I've been working as a model these days. That's how I've been making money, she blurted out, surprising even herself. A hush fell over the group, eyes wide with astonishment. A middle school student working as a model? So that was it? That's so cool. I want to come see you at the photo shoot. I'll invite you girls once I've gotten to know my boss a bit better. What was I thinking, lying like that? She thought, panic rising within her. I should change the subject. Since you mentioned boyfriends, that reminds me, did you know the guy I was casually seeing is now talking to Samyang? Oh, really? What happened? Whoa, that's nuts. Could you really call that talking? Namsu's heart raced, and she felt a twinge of jealousy at the thought. Plus, she showed us the messages right away. The girls leaned closer, hanging on to every word, while Namsu's mind spun with a mix of pride and anxiety. Would this make her and Samyang closer, or would it push them apart? The uncertainty hung in the air like the fading remnants of a rainbow, beautiful yet fleeting, leaving her to grapple with the complexities of friendship, jealousy, and the chaotic world of middle school. The cafeteria buzzed with the chatter of students, laughter intertwining with the clatter of trays and the aroma of greasy fried food. In the midst of it all, Namsu sat at the table, her thoughts swirling like a chaotic storm. Her friends exchanged glances, concern etched on their faces as they leaned in to whisper about the peculiar behavior they had noticed. Namsu's saying some weird things, one of them murmured, casting a wary glance in her direction. Right? The two of them didn't originally know each other, did they? Another replied, shaking her head. No, they met for the first time at sports day, she confirmed, recalling the way Hyunwoo had smiled at Samyang, the warmth in his eyes that had made her stomach twist. Ever since that day, he'd slowly stopped talking to Namsu, leaving her messages on read. The realization gnawed at her, a familiar pain that twisted in her chest. Oh my God! Huh? What the hell happened between the two of them that day? The tone was light, but underneath the laughter lay genuine concern. This is pretty bad. Technically, things between you and Hyunwoo ended because of Samyang, one friend pointed out, and Namsu felt a pang of resentment at the mention of Samyang's name. I've been feeling a bit upset too, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. It felt strange to admit her feelings out loud, but she knew she had to share the weight she carried. I don't know if I should even say this to be honest, but I think Samyang is a bit deprived of affection because she doesn't have any family. Just then, their teacher strode into the cafeteria, her authoritative presence commanding attention. I had to go to the teacher's office. What were you girls up to? Lunch is almost over. Let's go to the convenience store, one friend suggested, eager to escape the cafeteria's chaos. I want to go too, Namsu chimed in, though her heart wasn't in it. Ugh, lunchtime passes by so fast. What's our next class? Samyang, a friend replied, and the name sent a jolt through Namsu. She hesitated for a moment, biting her lip. I didn't say anything because I don't really know what's going on. But the words tumbled out before she could stop them. But did you keep messaging Hyunwoo, or whatever since last time? Who's that again? Samyang asked, her brow furrowing in confusion. Namsu couldn't help but roll her eyes at the question. Asterisk, wow. What the hell is wrong with Namsu? Asterisk, she thought, annoyance bubbling up. She made you look like a total B asterisk TSH. She was so unashamed when she lied that I almost fell for it, even after having seen your messages. There was a flicker of anger in Namsu's heart. Why couldn't Samyang just be honest? Samyang, you're going to the English Academy today, right? What are you going to do all by yourself? This is so F asterisk 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 up, Namsu grumbled, her frustration boiling over. Make sure to do your homework. See you next class. Hey Namsu, there's something I want to talk to you about, a friend interrupted, but the chatter continued around them. Hey Namsu ha, didn't that be asterisk just say something to you? Another friend teased, her laughter ringing out. Namsu felt the heat rise to her cheeks. Namsu is blatantly ignoring her. Ha ha, this is too funny, ha ha. The laughter echoed around the table, but it felt sharp and cruel. She can hear you, you know, Namsu thought, frustration boiling within her. The laughter faded into whispers, and Samyang's voice broke through. Namsu, what's going on? I don't really get what's happening. Namsu turned her gaze away, avoiding the look in Samyang's eyes. Why was it so hard to face her? Have you considered taking a break from the English Academy? Someone suggested, concern creeping into their voice. It's application season for the specialized high school, and you really shouldn't stretch yourself too thin. The words hung in the air like an unspoken truth. Samyang's face fell, and Namsu felt a pang of sympathy for her. She was trying so hard to keep up, but the pressure was suffocating. As the bell rang, signaling the end of lunch, Namsu's thoughts swirled with confusion and frustration. She glanced at Samyang, a mix of empathy and resentment in her heart. They were all navigating this complicated web of friendships and unspoken feelings, and the weight of it felt almost unbearable. Would they find a way to unravel it, or would it tear them apart? Only time would tell. Samyang stood in front of the mirror, smoothing her hair back with a practiced hand. She knew she had to put on a brave face, especially around her mother. No, it's okay, she reminded herself as she took a deep breath. Going with friends is fun and helps relieve some stress. She felt a flutter of anxiety in her stomach, but it was something she could manage, at least for now. As her thoughts drifted to her recent outings, a sense of guilt crept in. I can't let Mom find out, no matter what. It wasn't that she didn't trust her mother. She just knew how much pressure her mom put on her, especially with the high school entrance exams looming ahead. Really? Her mother's voice broke through her thoughts. Well, that is why I let you go in the first place. Things are still great between you and your friends, right? Of course, Mom, Samyang replied, forcing a smile. But inside, the pressure was mounting. She had always believed that the high school entrance exams wouldn't be a big deal for her. After all, her mother often told her how smart she was. You're just like me, her mom would say, filling her with a sense of pride mixed with the weight of expectations. I'm not trying to pressure you. I really do believe it, her mother continued, her eyes sparkling with conviction. If anything gets in the way of your high school entrance exams, you need to tell me, all right? Yes, of course, Mom, Samyang echoed, but doubt nagged at her. What would she say? How could she explain her secret? As they talked, the mood shifted abruptly when her mother's tone grew serious. Hey, why do you keep pretending Samyang stuff is yours these days? Did you think no one would ever find out because she's not on Stargram? The weight of those words hung in the air, and Samyang felt her heart drop. What? I saw you upload that photo of Samyang's diar bag, pretending it was yours. You purposely blocked any comments. Samyang's pulse quickened. What are you talking about? I only uploaded it because I looked cute. Quit lying. You've been going around lying to people in direct messages, saying that it's yours. One of the people you lied to was someone I went to elementary school with. You moron. Samyang's mind raced. What if it all came crashing down? She felt a heat rising in her cheeks, both from embarrassment and frustration. Seriously, don't you think it's horrible of you to start rumors about Samyang? After pretending all her expensive belongings are yours? If you have a conscience, you should have just stuck with one or the other. Samyang's heart thudded in her chest. Asterisk, oh, you're wrong, asterisk. What? Her mother snapped, incredulous. What the hell are you talking about? I said, you've got the story all wrong. The words tumbled out of Samyang's mouth before she could stop them. To be honest, Namsu felt it in her bones. She had woven a web of lies, one lie leading to another until it became too tangled to escape. She stole that bag from me. She thought bitterly, the realization hitting her like a punch to the gut. But there was a darkness in her, a sense of helplessness that left her unable to stop the cycle of deceit on her own. As the confrontation continued, Sung-young couldn't shake the feeling that she was losing control, and the guilt was suffocating. With every lie she told, she felt more trapped. She glanced at her reflection in the mirror, her expression a mask of uncertainty and fear. How could she unravel the mess she had created without losing everything? The thought haunted her, pushing her deeper into a corner from which there seemed to be no escape. Namsu sat on the edge of her bed, her heart racing as she recounted the events of the past few days. What? She couldn't shake the feeling of disbelief that had settled in the pit of her stomach. I'm modeling for an online shopping mall these days, she began, her voice trembling with a mix of excitement and anxiety. It sounded good, at least on the surface. There's expensive bags and shoes at the shoot. She paused, glancing around her messy room, littered with clothes and remnants of a once organized life. Asterisko, they're obviously not all designer goods. There are some replicas. Asterisk. She knew how ridiculous that sounded, but she pressed on. Anyway, it's all stuff the models use as props. The bag disappeared after Sung-young came to visit me while I was at the studio. Then the next day, she came to school wearing the bag. Namsu's voice trailed off as she looked up, searching for validation. Isn't that ridiculous? Don't you think so? Hyojin crossed her arms, her skepticism palpable. Huh? You expect me to believe that? You should try to tell more believable lies. Namsu felt a sting at Hyojin's words, but she knew deep down that her friend was right. Everything she was saying was built on a shaky foundation of falsehoods. Of course, everything I'm saying is a lie, she thought, her heart sinking as the truth washed over her. The fact that she was working as a model was a lie to begin with. It was a mask she wore to escape her insecurities. But now the made-up stories were suffocating her, laced with the negative emotions she had been harboring all this time. Why do you keep saying that I'm lying? Do you not trust what I'm saying when I'm your friend? Namsu's voice cracked as she confronted Hyojin, desperation creeping into her tone. The more she spoke, the more the lies seemed to solidify in her mind, intertwining with the reality around her. Hyojin shook her head, disbelief etched on her face. And the more you spoke them out loud, it had the same tag as the one from our online shopping mall, and even had the same scuff marks, so there's more than enough evidence. Hyojin's words felt like daggers, driving deeper into Namsu's chest with each syllable. Suddenly, the floodgates opened, and she felt the hot tears spill over. Why are you doing this to me, Hyojin? My boss got so mad at me because the bag disappeared. As she cried, a wave of vulnerability washed over her. She could feel her carefully constructed facade crumbling. Sung-young might be nice to you, but she's not to me, okay? There are so many times where I feel like she's being so mean, I know she has a lot of trauma. So I was going to keep this to myself, at least until we graduated, but with each sob, the gravity of her situation sank in deeper. This is messed up. She was losing control, and the thought terrified her. Is she really crying? Hyojin exclaimed, her eyes wide in disbelief. How could Namsu shed tears while lying so blatantly, as if she truly felt wronged? At that moment, the door swung open, and a familiar voice called out, Namsu, Hyojin, what are you doing over there? Hyojin turned sharply, her expression shifting from disbelief to concern. Huh? Are you crying, Namsu? Namsu's sobs only intensified, each one echoing the turmoil within her. Why are you crying even louder? What's wrong with you? Hyojin exclaimed, bewildered. I don't know what's going on here, but why are you making her cry? Another voice chimed in, growing louder and more frantic. Namsu looked up through her tear-filled eyes, feeling the weight of her choices crushing her. She had crafted an elaborate lie to escape her reality, but now it was unraveling before her. And as her friends hovered over her, concern etched on their faces, she wondered if she could ever find a way back to the truth. Would she have to face the pain of her own insecurities and the mess she had created? The tension in the air was palpable as Namsu found herself cornered, her heart pounding in her chest. We were just having a conversation. Why are you butting in? She shot back, her voice dripping with irritation. The heat of the moment was overwhelming, and the rising stakes fueled her defiance. Hey, Namsu, what the hell is wrong with you? Stop pissing me off. Hyejin's voice boomed, anger radiating from her. Namsu could see the concern etched on Hyejin's face, mixed with a hint of fear. Are you sure you two are just talking? This is none of your business, Namsu replied, trying to brush off Hyejin's intrusion. This is between me and Samyang, she thought, feeling the pressure of being scrutinized by her friends. Ugh. F*******. Let me go. Namsu yelled, frustration bubbling over as she felt trapped in a web of accusations and half-truths. The chaos was dizzying, and her mind raced with thoughts of how this had spiraled so far out of control. Calm down, both of you, Hyejin interjected, her tone trying to broker peace, but only serving to exacerbate the tension. Ugh, she's such a messed up b******. Hyejin's words stung like venom, and Namsu couldn't help but feel the weight of the label settle over her like a heavy cloak. Are you okay, Hyejin? Samyang asked, genuine concern lacing her voice. But Hyejin's focus was elsewhere, fixated on Namsu's dramatic display. The way she puts on a show pretending to cry really freaks me out, Hyejin continued, disbelief dripping from her words. Just look at her, acting like she's so fragile after pushing me over. I'm scared of what she might go around saying to people now. Namsu's mind swirled with conflicting emotions. Why can't they see that I'm hurting too? She thought, her heart heavy with shame. Hyejin had no idea how much she was struggling beneath the surface. You don't have to go out of your way to take my side, Hyejin, Samyang said, her voice calm yet firm. But I know you're the victim in this, so how could I not? Victim? Namsu echoed silently, feeling a pang of resentment. Asterisk, what about me? What about the pain I'm feeling? Asterisk. Is it the rumor that I stole the guy Namsu was seeing? Samyang continued, her tone resigned. It's fine. It's not like I even want to go to a high school in this neighborhood. Let her talk all she wants. Everyone will forget about it one day. Namsu wanted to scream, to unleash her anger, but the words stuck in her throat. The truth was, she didn't want to be the villain in this story. She was just trying to navigate a world that felt increasingly hostile. To be honest, that's not the only problem. Hyejin's voice cut through the tension, bringing a new level of anxiety to the conversation. I didn't tell you this because I didn't want to distract you from your high school application, but Namsu posts your stuff on Stargram all the time. Namsu's heart sank. How could she? She gets likes and followers with them as if they're all her things, and then she lies about them to people in direct messages. Hyejin continued, her tone serious. That's fine too. Let her. Listen, Samyang. Hyejin leaned closer, intensity in her eyes. Do you know how manipulative she is on social media? First, she crops a photo of your shoes and uploads it to her stories. Sports day. The sunlight is so beautiful. Namsu felt her pulse quicken. She was trapped in a cycle of her own making, desperately trying to keep up the facade. Because you can hide stories from certain followers, and you can only respond to them via direct message, Hyejin explained. Then she posts the original on her feed and blocks comments. Namsu, and everyone taps like on it, thinking your Gucci shoes are hers. Basically, she never actually says the Gucci shoes are hers. The accusations felt like arrows, piercing through Namsu's defenses. What have I done? I think her lying is getting worse and worse, Hyejin added, her concern palpable. I already sort of knew Namsu was doing that. It's a bit ridiculous, but I'm letting it be because I'm fine with it. If it's something that can blow over because I stay quiet, then I'm fine with it. Plus, Namsu was a friend to me once. Listen to me carefully, Samyang. Hyejin pressed, her tone serious. You can't just let things go when it comes to relationships with people. You either talk about the problem and solve it, or if the other person's not willing to listen, you cut them off. It's one or the other. Namsu felt her stomach twist at the thought of severing ties, the weight of her choices pressing down on her. But what if it means losing everything? Normally, friends fight or get angry with each other and make up, Hyejin continued, her voice steady. Just letting things go isn't the only way to be friends with someone. But I've never seen you argue or fight with a friend before. It's almost as if you don't know how to get angry. Be honest with yourself for once, huh? Namsu's heart ached at Hyojin's words, the truth too harsh to confront. Thanks for the advice, Hyojin, she muttered, feeling the weight of the world on her shoulders. There's no need for you to get involved, Young, Hyojin said, shaking her head. There's no need for you to get angry either. Don't waste your energy. Mommy will take care of everything. You're just a child. When there's a problem, it's the adults or people with power who must take care of it. I don't want to see you get hurt. It's best for you to stay quiet when any issues arise. As Hyojin spoke, Namsu felt a mixture of resentment and sadness. Asterisk, what were those two talking about? What kind of scheme were they coming up with? Asterisk, I'm so screwed if Hyojin tells people that I lied in the direct messages, and Young says she's never visited me at a shoot. The realization hit her like a cold wave. How are you going to model now that you're hurt? Namsu. Hyojin's words echoed in her mind, but the question felt more like a taunt than a concern. You're right, she thought, feeling the shadows of her choices closing in around her. The weight of her lies had become unbearable, and the fear of losing everything threatened to swallow her whole. The sun poured down relentlessly as the school day wore on, the heat creeping into the corners of the classroom. Namsu could feel the tension rising like a storm on the horizon. We never even got to visit you at the studio yet, she said brightly, trying to inject some excitement into the atmosphere. Don't worry. I'll invite you two as soon as I get the chance. But as she looked at her friends, something gnawed at her. What am I supposed to do about these two? They had always been so quick to judge, and today was no different. As she pulled out her brand new iPhone Z, the giggles of her classmates faded into a distant murmur. Oh, that's why, a friend teased, causing a ripple of laughter. So funny, Namsu thought bitterly, her confidence wavering. She needed a way to keep their mouths shut about her latest mishap. Girls? Her gaze landed on a girl sitting alone at the back of the room, her oversized glasses and nervous demeanor marking her as an easy target. She looks like a total nerd and always gets left out by others. It doesn't even look like she has friends who'd care, Namsu muttered under her breath. Yeah, that should work, one of her friends chimed in, and Namsu couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister was brewing beneath their laughter. A few days later, the heat continued to smother them, thick and suffocating after gym class. Ugh, it's so hot. This would be the perfect time to go to the convenience store and get some ice cream, she exclaimed, her desire for a cold treat pushing aside the thoughts that haunted her. Sorry, I have to go unlock the classroom door since I'm the class president, Young replied, her voice laced with responsibility. Namsu watched her go, wishing she could just have fun without the weight of her role. It's starting to get hot now that it's May, Young continued, her voice fading as she stepped out. Namsu shrugged, glancing at her other friend. There's no need for you to be sorry. I'm going to go get some water at the fountain, she said, eager to escape the classroom. As Namsu settled back in her desk, she fished out her textbook. Next class is Korean, she thought, when her fingers brushed against something unusual. Whose phone is this? She murmured, puzzled. Moments later, panic coursed through her veins as she exclaimed, My iPhone. I just bought it too. It's gone. My iPhone's gone. The dread in her stomach twisted tighter, making it hard to breathe. It was here before gym class, she wailed, her heart racing. Oh no, what if someone stole it? Our classroom was empty while we were at the gym. Are you sure you locked up before you left, class prez? One voice called out, dripping with suspicion. Don't even think about putting that on her. Hyojin snapped back, anger sparking in her eyes. She locked up properly. I was with her when she unlocked the door. Namsu felt a surge of gratitude for Hyojin's loyalty, but it was fleeting. Come on, why are you getting mad at me? I was only asking because I was thinking of her, the accuser insisted, clearly trying to pass the blame. If the door was locked to begin with like you suggest, isn't there only one person who could have taken it? Hyojin's question hung in the air like a dark cloud. This is bullsh***, Namsu said, her heart racing. She's right, haha. Young disappeared during gym class. I was running an errand for the teacher. Young defended herself, her voice barely above a whisper. Instead of fighting like this, why don't we just check everyone's bags? Hyojin proposed, her eyes flashing with determination. What? What gives you the right? A voice erupted from the crowd. Namsu's mind whirled. Asterisk, this can't be happening. How did it come to this? Asterisk. What are you getting so worked up about, Hyjin? You could just show us if you've got nothing to hide. Someone countered, and the tension thickened. Ah, you think there's a chance Samyang took it too, don't you? Isn't that why you keep trying to defend her? What are you talking about? I'm just pissed you're picking on one person and are trying to put the blame on her. Hyjin exclaimed, her voice cutting through the chaos. Namsu's heart sank deeper, feeling the weight of her friend's accusations crashing down around her. It's fine if I just put up with it, she thought numbly, battling the urge to scream. It's best for you to stay quiet when any issues arise, echoed in her mind, a haunting reminder of the advice she'd been given. Why are you so sure that it's me in the first place? Samyang's voice broke through, filled with hurt. As if you put it in my bag yourself? Namsu stared at Samyang, a mix of anger and guilt swirling in her chest. How had they come to this? The laughter of her classmates felt far away, a distant memory of better times. Now, surrounded by suspicion and blame, she realized that this was a fight she didn't know how to win. The truth was buried beneath layers of lies, and the only thing she could do was brace herself for the fallout.